Hey, welcome to we'll call this a miniature marketing tool talk, a little chat, because I had a colleague ask me after I had written a blog post recently about content curation and how libraries can make use of that marketing in their marketing. We were discussing a communications plan, and I was talking about curating influencers, and that was a good way for us when we didn't have a whole lot of original content to still be out there on social media and raising awareness. And there were some questions as to, okay, what exactly did I mean? But more specifically, okay, how do we actually go do that? What are the tools that I use? And what does that actually look like? How is that different than maybe a retweet? Because a retweeting can be a part of curation. So rather than try to explain that in an email or even adding to the blog post that I wrote, I'm making a quick video. So I'm going to share my screen and I'm going to go inside and give you a couple of quick examples of what I meant when I talked about curation and how to add that along with original content that you create and share as part of your marketing plan. So let me share my screen. Excellent. And before we get to my desktop, so this is the blog post that I was mentioning. Content curation should be part of your library marketing. And this actually came up. I was part of a challenge from my business coach to be more engaged in content curation here in my business. So this is actually kind of a meta post. I'm curating about curation. So that was what this post, this really became much more of original content. I took some ideas, I did some other reading, I put together knowledge, skills, the kind of thing that we do when you write a link guide or you write a resource guide. It's curation. So now the question is, the technical part is, say somebody else came across, one of my library colleagues comes across my blog post and they want to curate it. In other words, they're going to share it with their colleagues, their social media network. It's not something they wrote, it's something I wrote. So there's a couple of ways you can do that. You can copy the link and go directly to Twitter, and you can add your thoughts and say, hey, I really liked this post and here's why, because that's what good curation is. Curation says, this is why I'm sharing this with you, good or bad, or meh. It's not just, here's the link, and you throw that out there. So you could do that, and you send it directly to Twitter, or you can use one of the many social media scheduling and management tools that are out there, and you put that in, and then you can set it to go out at some point in the future. Not having to be online on social media all the time, because none of us have time for that. There are several tools that I use because there's just no one magic great tool that does everything. I'd say maybe the closest to that might be Hootsuite, now that Hootsuite does let you truly schedule Instagram posts. It used to be basically all you did was schedule a reminder to be sent to your app or your phone telling you, okay, go hit the go button and post that thing on Instagram. Instagram is finally embracing third-party tools to manage your accounts a little more than it used to. So there's Hootsuite, or another one that I use is Buffer. And I've used Buffer off and on because it used to handle inline images very well when sent to Twitter and to Facebook. So I still sort of alternate between, Hootsuite and Facebook. In fact, if you see on my screen right now where the big image, the nice social sharing image, advice on content curation for marketing, down where my mouse is, there's a little thing that says share image, and it's got a little restacked. That's Buffer's logo. So if I clicked on that right now, it would apparently open a window that's showing me that we have some sort of issue between Buffer and Firefox right now. So now it's gonna, instead it normally opens a little pop-up window. It's gonna apparently take me to my social media account, which I'm going to pause for just 1 second to get that back up and working. Let's pause. Okay. Apparently now, you have to make sure that you select. So I've got two different social media accounts connected in Buffer, Twitter and Facebook, because of how each social media tool plays with other third-party tools like schedulers, Buffer, Hootsuite, Sprout Social, Agora Pulse, all of those. They're going to be a little bit different, and you might have to tweak or edit the content that's in the box for what you're going to share. This is especially true for Facebook. But otherwise, the nice thing about Buffer is Buffer automatically pulls out the headline from a blog post. It should sometimes pull out maybe even the title for the site. It will automatically recognize the images that are in that post and say, which ones of these would you like to add or share in your social media posts? So for right now, for example, I'm saying I'm going to send this out via Twitter, and this is the title, and I don't have to put my business name there. I'm going to edit that. It also uses a short link, and it's using a Buffer proprietary short link, but because of that, it means that it takes up less space, which used to be very, very important to Twitter. It also means you'll be able to track that statistic in your Buffer account. You'll know how many times it was clicked, how many times it was shared. Very nice. So I'm going to say here, I'm going to add in, I think, all my, and I'll use a hashtag here because it's Twitter, all my library pals should know that content curation should be part of library marketing. Now I'm just like, agree. Maybe get a little bit of engagement going. And I'm going to say, I'll pick 2 images to go out in the Twitter post. Now, the thing about Buffer is that it says add to queue. What that's doing is that in the tool for Buffer, you set it up and you say, my schedule is, I want you to send whatever content I send to you, Buffer. I've told it I want it to go out Mondays through Fridays at 11:20 a.m. Buffer lets you put in the free accounts, I believe, up to 10 pieces of content in your queue to be sent out. And when you go out and you find things on the internet that you want to share, whenever you add something to the queue, it's going to go in the next available slot. So if you told it in your schedule is, I want you to go out Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, but these 3 times during each day, then the first thing you add to your queue goes out in the Monday slot 1, then Monday slot 2, then Monday slot 3. You go in, you decide that. And Buffer has all kinds of advice on when it thinks you should post to your social media accounts, but that's the queue that I set up. So I add it to my queue, and Buffer's a little slow today. So it's going to add, it'll go out at the next scheduled interval. Okay, so that's cool. You go back, we're back here in the post. So something else, we're going to do this via Hootsuite next. So a tool that I use a lot when I'm looking to keep up with trends and things in terms of marketing, I use the feed reader Feedly, and it collects links and things from all kinds of websites and blog posts, and I've got things organized by news and by sports and by social and tech and marketing. And so I use it mostly on my phone, but this is the web browser version. And so I'm looking, and here's an article that I really liked, and it's from the Content Marketing Institute. Love them. Great stuff, great research. Now I can read the entire article here if I want in Feedly. What I'm going to do is I actually click the link. Now I'm on the CMI site. Here's that post. So I can grab this link, and there's also usually a browser extension for Hootsuite, but it's missing or broken at the moment. So we're going to go in there now that I've grabbed the link. Now we're inside of Hootsuite, and so I'm going to go up here where it says compose a message. Now this is sort of original curation, so to speak, because I'm going out, I'm getting the link, I'm putting it into my social media scheduling tool, and I'm saying, hey, this is why I think you ought to pay attention to this. And this particular link is about editorial content calendars and planners. And I'm talking in a paid webinar that I'm giving for the Massachusetts library system in April, with April and May, about content calendars. And since I just gave the first webinar in this series of marketing webinars this morning, I'm going to tweet out and say this is a link that they may want to pay attention to, sort of consider it homework ahead of our webinar coming up in a few weeks. So let me go ahead. I'm going to write that tweet and just a second. Okay, so because I can't always think and type at the same time, I composed my tweet why I'm sharing this article from CMI. I tagged client, the library system that I was training for. In Hootsuite, you then drop the article in here. It shrinks it, it adds it. It's supposed to add it to the end, but it's going to actually add it to wherever your cursor happened to have been sitting. So there we go. There's the link. Again, that's their proprietary link shortener, and that's how you'll be able to track and use statistics within Hootsuite to see how this tweet did. And then within Hootsuite, there's down here is the scheduling button. Now I can either use automatic scheduling and say, yep, Hootsuite, send this out whenever you think is best, or I can pick the individual time. You're able to schedule 30 messages in advance now on the free plan for Hootsuite. So I just turned auto scheduling on, and I'm going to let Hootsuite figure out the best time to send this out. And boom, it's gone. It's going to share out on Twitter. And if you're following me at the InfoHound, then you'll see that come up, and then you'll be able to tell me, oh, okay, so the optimal time apparently was blank. So now the other way in terms of content curation, and what somebody asked me is, okay, so say I'm reading things on Twitter and I see something that was really good. Now you can either just hit retweet, or in terms of curation, what you can do is you can basically quote tweet that and add a thought onto it and then share it out. So I'm going through, this is a list that I have saved, library, movers and shakers here. Looking for something good, possibly even in the realm of library marketing to share. Okay, so what you do is you find something, and I'm going to do that, and then I will show you what comes up next. Okay, sorry, took me a little while to find one that I wanted to share out today. So I had an interest in my my research when I was working on my PhD before I left that, and now I'm a library consultant. But it was about digital primary resources and making those more available for educators of all kinds. So anyway, there's a great, there was a tweet that I thought was highly timely, talking about the Kent State shootings, an oral history project from the Kent State Library, and it's being featured by the Digital Public Library of America, the DPLA. So I'm like, yeah, that's cool. And so I could just retweet. In fact, I just did. What I'm trying to do here, though, is I want to click the little drop-down button in Twitter next to that, and I want to say I want to quote, or you can say edit. So actually, that's not what I want at all. That's changed since the last time I did this. I'm going to edit that. So if I'm going to edit it, it's going to include material from the original tweet. And I'm going to say, I'm going to add my thoughts on this, like, so timely. Research focus once. And I'm gonna cut out extra stuff because there's there is still a limit on characters inside of a tweet, and that's what the red was on that, showing it was over. So I've added my thought in front of the tweet. That's a quote tweet where basically I am sending out, or in this case maybe a mention, I'm sending out the bulk of the original tweet. I'm adding my thought on top of that, and instead of replying to the DPLA, I'm sending all of this out to my followers on Twitter, the DPA's original tweet plus my thought on why I'm sharing it rather than just the quick, hit RT. Now, because I'm doing this inside of Hootsuite, it means I can hit that scheduling button again, and I'm still on auto schedule. And so in this case, I'll turn auto schedule off, and I'll say send this out tomorrow afternoon. Scheduled, done. I have now just scheduled a retweet. I've scheduled a quote tweet that is scheduling curation in this aspect on Twitter. So those are a couple of different ways that you can do that. And like I said, I hope that, if you want to understand a little bit more about what I mean about content curation, then you can read the rest of the blog post where this video is going to be embedded. And if you have more questions or you want me to go into some behind the scenes of some other tools about how I do that and how I share things about that, ask me and I'll make another video and we'll consider that another miniature marketing tool talk chat. Thanks so much. I'm glad you asked.